Hi, my name's Marty. I'm going to be the clinician working with you. Since it's our first time meeting, I'm going to go over some of the paperwork that's involved in starting services. The first thing that we're going to go over is informed consent. What this is a document basically outlining my role in therapy as well as your role in therapy. And then at the end of it, I'm going to ask you to sign the back, and I myself will sign as well. If at any point throughout reading this or going over it you have any questions, feel free to ask. I can clarify anything, or we can discuss it further if you would like.
Oh, I have to sign it?
It is something that I'm going to ask you to sign. It's an agreement between us about what services I'm going to provide and how you're going to interact in the therapy process.
Okay.
It's all about you making the decision to enter into therapy and what that looks like.
Okay.
All right. So the purpose again of this is to go over and make sure that you are informed and that you have all the information regarding the services that will be helpful to you in deciding if you do want to participate in the services. It is important that I, as your provider, am the one talking to you about this, just so that we can have an open discussion and make sure that we are both on the same page as to what can be expected. From there, your rights. We gave you a book of your rights when you came in. It goes over your consumer rights. It's a document and it contains any of that information. We also have a client advocate and a peer rights advocate, and I'll give you that number as well. It's in the booklet, but I'll write it down again. And so if at any point you have any concerns or want clarification on the rights that you have, you'll have that number and you can reach out to them. And that's completely independent of me. That's a separate thing that you can utilize.
Okay, cool.
So privacy practices, this document, when you sign it, is going to say that you are informed about the protection of your privacy and how we keep your health information private. You will be given a copy of the Notice of Privacy Practices, which has information about how your private health information may be used and disclosed under the law. It's going to state the different certain circumstances and situations in which your information can be disclosed. For example, staff members are mandated to report if there's a reasonable suspicion of abuse or if there is a threat of physical safety to either yourself or somebody else that we are speaking about.
Okay.
So the services are going to be focused on mental health and substance abuse issues. By signing this, you're going to state that you are aware that the information and records may be shared between different mental health and substance abuse programs if it's deemed necessary. Let's see. And you'll be provided with authorization and a disclosure of confidential behavioral health information within the Butte County Department of Behavioral Health. We're also going to make sure that you're aware of that, and a lot of these services are something that you would either choose to participate in or not. So all this is going to be a lot of client-led services. So if at any point you wouldn't want to join in a different service, you would have that right to abstain from that.
Okay.
So, the risks and benefits of services. While therapy is wonderful, there are risks that could be associated with it. And so we want to make sure that you're fully aware of that before you enter into our services. So this just states, I was informed behavioral health services may have risks and benefits. I am aware that behavioral health services may involve discussing difficult aspects of my life and making changes to psychiatric medication and or discussing difficult topics. Let's see, and experiences at times can be uncomfortable, and feelings of sadness, guilt, anger, frustration, loneliness, and helplessness may occur. But I would always be here to discuss that with you, and hopefully whatever feelings are felt within this session we can come to a resolve before you're leaving.
Okay.
Let's see. There may also be an increase in the symptoms as you're working through tough issues. So therapy sometimes is a really difficult process, and that can mean digging in and getting to some topics that are uncomfortable, and you might feel that discomfort. But again, it would be all in the hope of coming out on the other side
Okay.
with the benefits. So it also states that you would be aware that behavioral health services have been shown to be beneficial. For example, psychotherapy may lead to better relationships, solutions to specific problems, and significant reduction in feelings of distress. And then if you were to, if it was felt that medications were something that you would want to work with, then you would be referred to our psychiatrist, and then medications might also be implemented, which may alleviate the symptoms of mental health issues.
Okay.
So, with all that we're discussing, it's a lot. So, one, you'll have a copy of this, but also all these services are voluntary.
Okay.
So, so this is just stating that you are fully aware that your participation is voluntary, and except in the situation of a legal hold, you have every right to deny services or to end services when you would like.
Okay.
Let's see. Eligibility for services is determined by a combination of laws, regulations, and policies, and we'll give you a little bit of that information so that you'll have that. And so, first step would be an assessment to determine if there is a need for this, a medical need, which you've already entered into, and we've done that assessment, and that's what brought us here.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's see. If at some point it is felt that you no longer meet that medical necessity, then services would end, and we'd have that discussion. It wouldn't come out of nowhere. We'd have a discussion about how you're progressing and that the level of services that I'm providing no longer meets medical necessity. And at that point, you would be given a notice of action, which would say that we're going to end our time together, that you've kind of graduated out of this level of therapy.
Okay.
But that would all be a discussion between us. Let's see. We want you to know that you that the services provided can come from different professionals with different backgrounds, so a variety of experience levels and licensures. So I myself am a trainee under the supervision of a licensed marriage and family therapist. So what that means is I have not fully become licensed, but I am working towards that, and I am gaining that experience. So I am still supervised, which means somebody will always oversee what me and you are doing, as far as me having a caseload that I refer back to my supervisor with.
Oh. Okay.
If you were to meet with a licensed therapist that already had done that, then they would not have that same oversight that I do.
Okay.
Let's see. So, also we want to make sure that you're aware of the crisis and emergency services that Butte County does offer. So this says, I was informed that providers are generally available during regular county business hours, which are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, except for on the holidays. But there are alternative hours in the program provided for your services if you would need that. So if for some reason you're working or going to school and you can't meet during those hours, we can always extend those and work with your schedule, and even meet you in the community if that would work better.
Okay.
Let's see. For non-urgent matters and after hours, you can leave a message on the phone line, and that will get to me, and then I will return it as soon as possible. I try to have a 24-hour turnaround if it's within business hours. If it is an emergency, and you're just feeling in crisis, or maybe you need to talk to somebody sooner than what I can get back to you, there is a 24/7 phone number that I'm going to give to you for our crisis department, which can be either a phone conversation or they are open as well, and you could see them at any point. If it's a medical emergency, or you feel that it is a better option for you, you can always call 911 and they can refer you to the appropriate services. So, while me and you are working together, if at any point it doesn't feel like you are wanting to continue with me as your clinician, but you are still wanting to continue services, it is your right to ask for a change in provider. That is something that you can initiate. There's no hard feelings in that. We all have different styles, and we all get along with different people. So if at any point you feel like maybe somebody else would be a better provider, you can initiate that. And you can just speak to the staff up at the front desk, and they can help you make any changes and talk about who might fit and who you want to try.
Okay.
Fees and billing. So, we will provide you, we will ask you to provide financial information on an annual basis, just so that we can make sure that you are still with the same insurance and that we're still billing correctly for the services that you are having. Let's see, compliance or grievance. This kind of goes back to our client's rights advocate, is that if at any point you have a grievance, you are absolutely able to contact our hotline and give that grievance, and they investigate every single call that comes in. If you don't feel like you want to go that route, you can always ask who my supervisor is and ask to speak to them, and I can put you in touch with them at any point. And so that's our informed consent. That's us entering into a contract of what your rights are, what I'm going to provide, what my credentials are, who I am, and the services that I can offer. Were there any further questions that I could answer for you?
No.
All right. Then we will go sign and put it in your chart.